Hi, welcome to Back 40 Auto Works. My name is Jeremy Stanley. My friends call me Styles. You've been following along on my videos, and I think if you have, you'll notice that we're in the middle of an LS swap on a 78 Skylark, and I drove home another project. So I didn't get out in the shop much this week at all. Life has just been busy. So as I had mentioned, actually in some of my earlier videos, we're going to probably cut down my videos to once every 2 weeks as opposed to once a week. So this will probably be the last one of my schedule of once a week, and we'll be going to every second week. Life is busy, and we got a lot of stuff to take care of in the yard and around the house, and we have 4 kids, so that keeps us busy in itself. So I just won't get out here as much. However, I will keep posting content. It'll just take a while. I have to get out here. Sometimes you only have an hour to an evening, and sometimes when I get home, I just don't feel like being out here. But that's just life. We will still carry on. So there are some updates. So the very first update is paperwork for the Hudson came through. I bought this vehicle with just a bill of sale, so we had to obtain paperwork for it, and that's not a very bad thing, really. As long as you can get your papers in the end, it's not an issue. However, I think I should touch on that. Most of the times when you buy cars of this age, there's not often paperwork, and it's not a bad thing. It's not illegal to buy a car without paperwork, or as long as you're obtaining it legally. So I guess something I should say to people: you find something like this old Hudson or something in the woods or on the edge of a piece of property that's been there for years and years and years, and you want to buy it, and you find the owner and they want to sell it to you, but there's no paperwork. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you get a handwritten bill of sale, and that's kind of your first red flag. If you want something like this and nobody wants to sign the bill of sale, leave it where you found it. However, someone's willing to sign the bill of sale, that's an indication that everything's probably all said and done and ready to go. Now, the Hudson, there was no papers for it. It had just been sold 3 or 4 times without paperwork for parts along the line. So anyway, we were able to get it, and with the car having been in a fire, the title of the car come back as unfit, which just means we have to fix it before it goes back on the road, and they'll send somebody out to inspect it. Anyway, another thing I should probably point out is books. Buy books for all these swaps, these LS swaps and stuff like this. I'll show you a few of them here. This particular book right here is one I've read 2 or 3 times. It's a pretty good book. It shows you all the basics and ins and outs of swaps, and which generations of which engines are which, and where to find some of them. Touches on the basic steps of doing swaps. It's a good read to get you started. This one over here is another one that was recommended to me, a good friend of mine. I haven't gotten all the way through this one yet, but it's quite informative, a lot more involved than the other one. But if you're just wanting a basic to get you started, this is a fantastic book. I think I got it at Indigo. This other one as well, quite a good thing to get your hands on. I should also mention that as far as books, pick up as many as you can. You're buying vehicles for donors. As you can see, I have a lot of these old Haynes books, a lot of the Chilton's books. I picked those up at yard sales. The older the better for me. I'm in a lot of the 70s and 80s stuff, so the knowledge in these books never really goes out of date. And I would recommend you pick up as many particular ones as you can on the vehicle you're working on. I have some of the Haynes and Chilton on some of the same stuff, and reason for that is quite often these books contradict one another. Usually when I buy a rig, I'll go out and buy the book for it. Some of them have showed up in the vehicles as I bought them. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Most of you are probably doing that, regardless. However, it's just something I try to do. So, yeah, papers for the Hudson. It's great. So we can carry on with that, because I'm going to have to possibly put the Buick out and pull the Hudson in with the amount of rust that's on it. So, which means I got to do a little more of the Buick here. My last video, I tried to show the problem I was having with my power steering pump, why it wasn't fitting. Can't really see there, but I'll go through that again because I guess I erased it anyway. To make a long story short, my power steering pump is touching my steering box, and it's the pulley on the pump that won't clear. I knew that was possibly going to be an issue if we got the engine in the right place, which is where it is. But we did have to pull the engine ahead to clear the firewall so we didn't crush the heater hoses. It's a little further than I want it to be, I'll admit, but looks like everything else is going to work except for the power steering pump. And it also made good use of that notch they made the cross member, which turns out it did need. So here is the issue. This is roughly where my power steering pump wants to go. It's very close to touching the holes there in the head. It's held out a little bit from the block, all because of down here, this pulley right here is touching the steering box right here, where my finger is. As you can see, it overlaps the bolt. I need to get a smaller pulley. It's touching by a fair little bit. I'd say it's, if you look at the grooves of the pulley, and you can see them, yeah, it needs to clear by at least a quarter to almost half an inch. In order to do that, I have to come back here, tight against the block where it needs to go. Sorry for the poor camera work. It's just me and my phone. Anyway, that's our issue. That's the main issue that's holding us up. As I mentioned before, the manifolds look like they're going to clear okay. That's driver's side. Passenger side as well. Other than that little bit of flange back there touching the frame, I think we can massage that. The other side of the coin is I think I might have to reroute my transmission lines a little better. They're under the manifold and hold a little tight, so I got to figure something out there. But we will. That's not an issue. So I'm thinking the issue for that, or the fix for that, will be a smaller pulley. So the size of this pulley is roughly about 6.5 inches. Just estimating. Looks like it's, yeah. As you can see, as I mentioned before, it's too big. Now, I do have over here a power steering pump off an 03 Chevy Aveo. The pulley on it is only about 5 inches. So, we're going to try and swap pulleys from one to the other. The other thing I need to be concerned of is where is my offset going to be? Just, to where it meets the bracket. See the gap between the pulley there and the Silverado pump? And over here, this Aveo one is much tighter to the bracket. So that's something I have to address. And as you can see, when you look at the two of them, there is a significant enough difference in size that I'm hoping that I can use that Aveo pulley. That's the plan. Anyway, I'm waiting on a puller for the pulley. I'm going to order here online tonight and hopefully it'll be here in a week, and we'll address that. I was going to just borrow one from a friend or rent one, but my mindset is that after I get both pulleys off, I may have to do something to deal with the difference in the offset of the two of them. However, that's what I have. I'm not going to go to the junkyard and with a measuring tape and measure a couple thousand cars just try and find a pulley that's going to bolt right on without issue, because I don't think that's going to happen. But that's where we are with that, and waiting for the manifold gaskets and a set of manifold bolts. We get the pulley addressed where it's going to fit. I will pull the motor out once more, and as you saw in the last video, I need to make an extension to the transmission mount bracket and get that in place. If I can get that all sorted, I will pull the engine, as I said, give the quick coat of paint on the engine bay, set it back down and lock it in place with the manifolds and the power steering pump and everything else, and I'll put it out and bring the Hudson in. Most of the work that I need to do on the Buick after that can probably be done outside, so I just want to get the Hudson in Lorraine. And as far as the Hudson, as I mentioned in my last video, I'm collecting parts and pieces and trying to figure out what to do. I do have an old 250 Chev down the van, as you've seen. I have a brand new wiring harness in the box I've never used. It's set up for a GM column. So if anybody has a GM column out there, let me know. I do have a Chevette one. I'm not sure if they're quite the same as a traditional GM column, like a Malibu or Caprice or whatever those are. So that is certainly one route I can go. Use that 250 in this harness and a steering column out of that Chevette. It may or may not work. I'm not sure. I'm also still thinking about trying to find another complete donor vehicle. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I need something GM. If anybody Anybody knows anything, something like the old Buick again, not necessarily in that good a shape, or a Caprice, or an old Chevy truck, or I'm actually open to anything, but GM would be the best since the Hudson's set up for GM. And one of my other options is I have a '02 Silverado down the pit, which I showed in one of my last videos, and I had actually bought it for the Imperial, but we can gut it yet because the harness, the steering column, and everything is there. It'd be nice to take everything from one vehicle. That's my grand plan. However, I was saving that for the Imperial, but times change. Maybe I'll find a Ram with a Hemi for that. I don't know. Last option is, some of you will probably throw up in your mouth when I mention this. I stripped an old '02 Ranger one time. I still have the motor, transmission, harness, gauges, everything for it. ECM, cluster, the whole works. So it could end up with all that, but I really don't want to do that other than for the drivability of it, which would be fantastic. It just wouldn't have a tremendous amount of power. Mind you, believe it or not, as big as the car is, the Ranger was a little bit heavier, so it's an option. Anyway, that's where I'm at today. My next video will be me messing around with this power steering pump and trying to get it to fit. Unfortunately, I can't do much more today than what I did. We're just busy. As I keep saying, it's a low budget channel, so thanks everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will be back with my next video, probably 2 weeks. I may get one more in a week from now, but we'll see what happens. Thanks again. Take care.